what we're talking about today, we're kind of talking about like what level are you playing the game at, and the game being, you know, work and life. Are you playing at a high school level? Are you playing at a college level? Are you playing pro? Like, do you show up every day like the pro? We talk a lot. Like, we're halfway through our 8-week spring training. Champions get ready for the season. That's kind of why we're here. And, you know, which way are you showing up and how are you working, right?
Yeah, you have to decide, and nobody can answer that question except for you. Like, what level are you playing at? And I want to remind you that pay comes after performance.
Wow.
So we hear a lot of technicians from time to time say things like, well, if I had a little better call, or if I worked in this neighborhood, or if I had a little more training, or if my company did this for me. And listen, pay comes after performance. Let's just think about last week they had the NFL draft. And Trevor Lawrence got drafted #1 into the NFL. But listen, it started way back for Trevor Lawrence, kind of like Eddie talked about last week about habits and how you form those habits. As a ninth grader in high school, he took over as the quarterback and won a state championship. Wow. He went on to play 4 years of high school football, and I think he lost 1 game. And so he was the #1 recruit coming out of high school. He goes to Clemson, and as a freshman wins the national championship. He goes on to play 3 years in college and loses 3 games only 3 games in 3 years. And so he got drafted last week and got paid for that performance, like $38 million. And they deposited $12 million into his account last Friday. Now, I don't know if we can do that in the skilled trades, but listen, the pay comes after performance. And the question is, what are you doing to get to that next level?
I love it. There's a saying that says we can all be better at something, right? We can all be better at something, and we shouldn't wait for others to help us find that something. We're in charge of our own career. We've talked about it's our hand on the rudder as we steer our career and our life, and we shouldn't abdicate that responsibility to anyone else. Jerry, it reminds me of the story. There was a story. It's apocryphal. It's of a woodsman going through the wood, and he comes to this hut, and it's cold, and he goes in, and there's a stove. And the stove and this woodman have a conversation. And the woodsman says, "Hey, stove, give me heat." And the stove says, "Hey, woodsman, I'll give you heat when you give me wood." And he said, "Well, I'll give you wood when you give us heat." Now, when we're listening to that story, that sounds a little trippy, dippy, bonkers, right? And yet, we see this played out every day, where it's like, "Hey, I'll get better once they give me the better truck. Hey man, if they give me better tools, I'd do better work. Hey man, I'm doing the best I can. Look at who I'm working with, man. I'm the smart guy on the team, and I can only do as good as." And there's all of these people that say, "When I get, I will be." And the one thing you and I have learned from all the champions we've worked with, champions don't wait. They go first. And what we realize is that champions decide to go first. They just decide to go all in. They volunteer. Hey, we need to do a low voltage training class. I'll do that. Sure, I'll just come in half hour early. And they decide. And then all of a sudden, magic of magics, they get promoted.
That's how it
works.
works.
It's just magic, right?
Yeah.
Totally unrelated, I'm sure. And so as we're talking about a career, by the way, you can be in here 20 years and crushing this aspect. You could be like really technical, but maybe you're playing your communication game at high school level, right? You might be like crushing your communication, but you might be like still a little hung up about finances and the cost of doing business and pricing, and you might be playing that at college level. You might have some work to do in that area. So today, as you're going through it, like, what level are we playing at? And there's lots of different positions, right? Like in the game. And so that's what we need to be thinking of.
I love that idea. Like, you could be doing part of your job at a pro level.
Right.
You can actually do the work. But when it comes to asking for reviews, you're like a high school second stringer.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're just not good at that. And you can learn that skill. That's the beautiful thing about what we talk about, is you can learn these things. And Eddie and I have this kind of a thing that we talk about, like, success is an inside job, but we also talk about the fact that, listen, like, you have to find that inside of yourself.
Absolutely.
Nobody's coming to our rescue.
No. It's one of those things. What if, like, I've seen people reach a certain mark in their career, they've got a lot of things figured out, but what if that thing that you need to up your game in is teamwork? Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been humbled by it. You know, it's someone, they say to the young guy that's just had a baby, for example, hey, you know what, I've had the last 20 Thanksgiving off. Why don't you take this? I'll go on call. Like, what if the thing you need to get better is teamwork, right? What if it's the one when you come around the corner and the dumpster talk is going and it's like, you know, there's a little bit of a meeting going on in negative town. What if the thing you work on is like being the person to always call out and point and take the high road, right? Lots of things you can work on.
Absolutely.
But you have a, what's that Jim Rohn thing you always say?
So Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N, Jim Rohn, he says, like, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. So like that's a really good quote that you can use all day today. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Like, there's things you can work on daily.
What would that look like in a customer scenario?
Well, let's just practice it. So like if I was I'll be the technician and you can be the customer, and this is the way not to do it.
So listen, it's nothing against you, but every time you guys are here, you're always trying to, like, it feels like you're just trying to sell me stuff. You've always got a list of magic stuff that I need to do, and I just don't know what's going on.
Well, you know, I'm just doing my job. I just started. I don't know how those other guys do it. We have some guys that are kind of pushy, but I'm just doing my job.
Again, no,
don't do that.
Don't do that. All right, so
I'll be the customer.
Okay.
So Eddie, it seems like hey, thanks for coming out, but every time you come out here, you find something wrong. You're always trying to charge me something. Like, what's the deal there?
Oh, I'm sorry that's the feeling you've got, and I can understand if that's the feeling you've got, why you would say that. Unfortunately, I've got a list of what I found, and I can't really speak to what other people did because I wasn't here, but I've made a really thorough list, and I'd love to go over it with you, and we can decide together what makes sense for you today, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, sounds good.
Again, I mean, listen, no magic bullets, but that you can see how, like, there's situations that come up every day, and they're not going to go away. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So maybe the one thing you need to work on is dealing with difficult customers, and we've got a whole thing about that tomorrow, like who's the stopper on the team, and we're gonna dig into that more tomorrow. But you get the idea, like pick one thing and get better. And here's why this is important, right? There's another story that we hear, and you've probably heard it. It's about the lion and the gazelle. So this morning, in the grassy plains of the Serengeti, a gazelle raises from its slumber, and it gets up, and it starts to look around, and it knows today that if it's going to survive, it needs to hit the ground, and it needs to be the fastest it can be, because there's consequences. Meanwhile, a lion raises its head, gives a mighty roar, and is ready to be the fastest lion it can be, because if it's not faster than that gazelle, it and the pride don't eat today. So the moral of the story is, whether you're the lion or the gazelle, get up, hit the ground running, and be better, right? And that's kind of what we're challenging everybody today with, right?
Yeah. Hey, here's what you can do with the lion and gazelle story. You can decide right after each call to take about 5 minutes and decide, this is what I did well on this call. Ooh. This is what I maybe could have improved on. 5 minutes of reflection time really helps you get to that next level. So today, just do that. Take 5 minutes after every call. What I did right, what I could have improved on.
Champions always analyze their game. You're waiting on dispatch getting back to you. Why don't you just take the 5 times, make it intentional reflection time. What did I really crush? Celebrate it, high five, and what can I do better? Love that one, Jerry. That's a great one. Thanks, Coach.